Share it with her.
I will record it. All right. So there we go. It should be recording now.
Yeah.
So just real quick, let me know what's been your experience with for sale by owners there. Have you called much, door knocked? What? Zero. Okay, good. Well, yeah. I'll just give you real quick about my background and how I got into it. Before real estate, I was in computer consulting. And I didn't like talking to people. I didn't like confrontation. I was by no means a sales person, right? I was in my cubicle, and when people came to me, it was usually like something was wrong, right? And it would mean I would have to try to fix it, right? So I would always hide behind my keyboard. I'd email people. Um, the other thing is there was like tickets. I don't know if you ever had
I was a
something to do
software
with
engineer
IT.
too.
Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
in order to have my things tracked, I'd be like, oh, you got to do a ticket and put it through that, so I get credit. And like, if you just send me an email and I fix something, and I'm spending my time, whatever. So I would avoid people before I got into real estate, like 23 years ago, right? And that was kind of my thing. I was relatively quiet, and that job was great when I was younger. And they had me traveling all around the United States, and I got to go to cool places. I got to go to Seattle and New York and Atlanta, and go to all these baseball stadiums and football stadiums. It was really cool. And then they sent me to Buffalo, New York, and winter was coming, right? And I said, oh. So I, I'm born and raised in California, now living in Scottsdale. I'm like, there's no way I can do winter in Buffalo. So I ended up quitting, getting my real estate license. And my first week in the business, I sold my first house through a classified ad, which was great, except it was a fixer-upper house that cost like 25 grand. And after all my commission splits and everything, as my first house, I think I made like $300 or $400 commission on that deal.
Oh
And
man.
the classified ad for like 5 days on weekends and stuff was like 250. So I made like, I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Everyone was like, wow, you sold a house in your first week in the business. That's cool, right? And so everyone was celebrating me, but in my mind, I'm like, dude, I didn't make any money, right? And so then my second week or third week in the business, my best friend bought a house from me, right? So he bought a house, and that was all fine and good, but you run out of best friends, right? And you run out, you realize that I don't have a huge advertising budget, and the classified ad that I did, I barely made any money on anyway. So I realized that I was gonna have to do something else in order to generate business. My broker at the time was really big into Mike Ferry coaching, and that's kind of the path I started to go down. Um, in my training class at my brokerage, my old brokerage, they handed us an old photocopied copy of the Mike Ferry FSBO and listing script. It had been copied like a million times. It was grainy. You could barely read the words, and I got this binder with all these, 100 times copied over scripts. And they said, oh, call the FSBOs, read these words, and they'll list with you. I said, okay, I'll try it. And I was very nervous. Like I said, I'm coming from my IT background, not wanting confrontation, not wanting anything like that. And I have the script, and I'm just bumbling and stumbling all over the place. I'm like, and just I got my ass handed to me on those first few calls. Like, oh, that doesn't work, right? And so, I moved on and on, and then like a month went by, I didn't sell a house. Another went by, I didn't sell a house. Another month went by, I didn't sell a house. And this Mike Ferry, or I had signed up on their website or something, and they they had sent me a cassette tape with some of their best agents that were handling objections and doing these for sale by owner calls. And they were like ninjas, right? I was like, oh my God, if I could ever be like them, then I could like actually make money in this business. And all you have to do is like pick up the phone and say these words. And I'm like, I need to be like them, right? But I'm like running out of money. I was making really good money in software, but this is like 6 months going by, and I've sold two houses, and I haven't really made probably more than $1,000 in commission. Oh, what is that? I don't know what those balloons were.
I don't know. Yeehaw.
That was new. I don't know how I did that, but anyway. So they emailed me. There was a Mike Ferry event in San Diego, and I thought, well, if I really want to get good at this, I'm going to go to this event, and I'm going to learn how to do these for sale by owners, right? So I went to the event, and they had us standing up and doing the scripts, and like there was upswings and downswings and teaching you the tone of your voice. And they assigned you for a role play partner. I ended up signing up for Mike Ferry coaching there. And that's when I really said, okay, I was kind of like forced to do it. I was making really good money in my old job. everybody thought I was crazy to leave. You're leaving this like $150,000 a year job. Like even this was back 25 years ago. I was like in my 20s making 120 or whatever thousand a year plus bonus. And everyone thought I was crazy to leave and you'll be coming back. You're going to fail on real estate. And I was like, there's no way that I'm going to go back. Right. So I'm like, I'm going to have to learn to cold call basically. And growing up, my dad hated cold callers. He'd cuss them out. What F you, you know, and or if somebody knocked on the door, he was a factory worker. He'd work nights. If somebody knocked on the door during the daytime when he was sleeping, even if it was like religious people are like, you MFer, like don't you know. So this was my experience with sales, right? And but I knew it was like what I was going to have to do if I really wanted to grow a real estate business. So there I am. I got role play partners. I'm practicing these for sale by owner scripts, and I'll never forget the first time it was $1 million house back in like 2003 was the year I was doing this. It was $1 million FSBO in Paradise Valley, which is our Beverly Hills or whatever. It's the most. It was $1 million house, and at that time, that was like a huge thing, right? And it's like just setting the appointment, I was like, oh my god, this freaking works, right? Like I picked up the phone, I used the scripts like they said. They invited me over on a listing presentation, and they ended up listing it with me. And I think I got like a 3% listing commission. I did 6%, right? And it sold, and I made like 30 grand. I'm like, oh my god, this works. Like I can pick up the phone, and I wasn't even that good yet, but I'm like, I can pick up the phone, say these words on the script, and make 30 grand. I'm addicted. I'm gonna do this all the time, right? That's kind of how I built my whole business with for sale by owners. You know, they weren't all $1 million. There's a lot of at that time. There's a lot of $150,000 houses here in the valley. I think our markets price wise has been fairly similar to yours, like Phoenix and Denver. But that's how I started doing it, right? I did really well until the market tanked here in like '08. And then I'll never forget. I'm like, okay, the market's getting tough. I'm gonna have to really work hard. And I took like, I think it was 12 listings in a month, but the prices were crashing so fast. None of them were selling. I couldn't get them to reduce the prices fast enough to sell. And then that led me down the whole doing REO path and foreclosure listings and all that for a few years. And then once the market started to get a little bit better in like 2011, I'm like, oh, what if this FSBO thing will work again? It was the same thing. It was like I'm selling all these foreclosure houses, and it's like I was only making 1% on those, and they were low. They were all like 100 grand. And, you know, our market was in the tank, so I'm making like $1,000 a house. I'm like, this is not going to cut it. I have this, you know, debt to pay off and everything. And then once again, I found a for sale by owner, and this was a $500,000 house, but still, it was like 15 grand. And 15 grand was enough to like get me out of my little hole I was in. I was working a job that I was in a cubicle again. I was doing the IT thing that I hated just to like pay the bills. And then I made that 15 grand, and I'm like, okay, I'm off and running again. And there I was, FSBOs again, right? And so that's kind of how I've made my career, because the way that Mike Ferry kind of taught it to me is there's 3 ways to get business. You can, in real estate, you can either wait for it to come to you, right? Which is friends, family, coworkers. They will use you, right? But there's not a real way where you can like recreate that or duplicate that by waiting, right? You can buy the business, which is what I was doing with a classified ad. You can do mailers, you can do Zillow, you can do pay-per-click, magazines, whatever you want to do, but you will sell some houses, but it's not pure profit, right? You're gonna have to lots of times with like mail, you have to budget to do direct mail for like 6 months and mail them like 2, 3, 4 times a month for 6 months before you can expect a return. Most agents can't do that, right? And then there's a third way of getting business, which is you can go out and you can earn it, right? Which is getting out, calling for sale by owners, expireds, just listed, just sold. That's why I was really like, okay, I got to focus on this. And so that's what I've done. So fast forward to now, I'm not with Mike Ferry anymore. He taught me a ton, but his script is way too long in 2024. I think he's got like 14 questions on his script. And now in 2024, you're lucky if you can get somebody to answer like 3 or 4 questions on the phone from a stranger. Like, you know, if you weren't in real estate, would you pick up your phone if you got a call from a random like 303 number? It didn't say mom or whatever. You'd be like, okay, it's a sales call, right? You'd either not answer it, or you'd answer it real quick, see what you'd hang up on it before they got into like a few sentences, especially if you're a for sale by owner or expired listing and you're getting tons of calls. So I've dropped this all down to like 3 basic questions. I ask 3 questions and then I'm going for an appointment right away. So what I'm doing, what I love to do is go right to Zillow and look for sale by owners. So I go to the Zillow screen, like I'm searching for a house. You're probably familiar, but when you're looking for houses on Zillow, they have this check. It says for sale with this little drop down menu, and it has by owner, new construction, free foreclosure, whatever. It has by owner, right? So you want to uncheck every box and only check by owner, and then put a price range. Like if you don't want anything below 200 or 300 or 500 or whatever, you don't want to go below. Put that in the minimum in the search criteria, and then have it search by newest. So the new ones are coming up fastest. Bookmark that page, and then I refresh that page 3, 4, 5, sometimes 12 times a day, and I'll just kind of notice when a new one pops up. Oh, that one's $700,000 in Mesa. You know, it's like 20 minutes away. I haven't called that one yet, and I'll call it right away, right? And so my script is ring ring. Hi, I'm calling about the home for sale on Oak Street. Is this the owner? Yeah, this is the owner. Oh, great. Hey, my name's Scott. I'm a local real estate agent. I'm working with a lot of buyers and sellers in the area, and I just wondered, how can I help you? And I'll just leave it open like that. And usually they'll say, bring me a buyer. I'll pay you 2% or 2.5% or whatever, right? That's usually what they say. Sometimes they'll be like, I don't need any help. I just put this on the market, whatever. But the most common thing they say is, well, bring me a buyer. I'll pay your commission. That's the most common thing you'll hear. And be like, oh, that's awesome. That's very generous. I appreciate the generous offer. 2% on this house. Yes, that's $10,000. I'll do some quick math. 2 times $1 million. Oh, wow, that's $20,000. A very generous offer. Thank you. I'll definitely keep that in mind. And for any buyers that we may have, I'll be sure to send them over. And let me just ask you, if you sold this home, where would you go next? And say it just like that, right? So you're excited, whatever, and it becomes like part of their conversation. Oh, we're downsizing. I'm in this 5-bedroom apartment by myself. I'm downsizing into a condo, whatever. Oh, wow, congratulations. So, whatever. And you got to really listen to them and make sure that where there's something you should be excited about or like not excited about, right? So sometimes it's my kids are all grown up and I got grandkids and I just need a small condo here. Oh, congratulations. Wow, your grandmother. Oh, congrats. Awesome. So tell me, how soon did you want to be, out of the big house and then into your smaller house? Well, the grandkids are here. I want to be flying down to Florida to visit them. I'd love to be able to go to Florida by May. That would be awesome. Wow. Okay. Wow. So if I could show you a way where we could get this property sold for you so that you could be, into the smaller house and be more flexible to travel to see your grandkids by May 1st. And at the same time, we could put more money in your pocket even after you paid a commission. Is that something you might be open to? Well, yeah, I get it. I don't see how you're going to do that. I mean, I'm already asking 700 and the estimate says 680. Like, how are you going to get me more? That's a great question. What I'd love to do is come by for just 20 minutes. You're under no obligation. I'd like to come by for about 20 minutes, go over all the numbers and exactly how I get different buyers, different types of buyers for my homes than most people that are looking at for sale by owner. We can look at the bottom line number of what you're going to walk away with when we get you moved into that smaller place. And if the numbers make sense, great, we can work together. But if not, it's not going to cost you a penny. All it's going to cost you is about 20 minutes. I've got some time today at 2, or would today at 4 be better for you? And I'm not talking about listing the home with me. I'm not talking about selling it with me. I'm asking them their 3 questions, which is their where, why, and when. And I'm doing it in a way of where, why, and when is what you want to find out. And then once you know their where, why, and when, you're presenting your service as the way to get them their where, why, and when, right? You're presenting your service as the path to get them what they want. So it's not list with me. It's not I've sold 1,000 houses. I got a team. I'm with Keller Williams or I'm with Remax. We're the biggest, oldest office in Colorado. None of that. Like, you tell me what you want and I'm excited for you and I'm going to help you get what you want. That's how I try to separate myself from everyone else. And the whole purpose of the phone call is to get an appointment. The purpose of the phone call is not to get a listing signed. It's not to handle their objections. It's not to do really anything. You want to find out their where, why, and when, if you can. Usually they'll tell you with just asking a question or two. It depends on their personality type or what. Some people are very guarded, but most people will be like, oh my God, I got 200 realtors calling me. I'm just trying to sell this house. You know, I inherited this place. I don't even live here. It's my grandmother's house. I inherited it, and I hired all these calls, and I just wish you'd all stop calling me. Oh, wow, I'm so sorry. I can certainly understand how frustrating. I have to work with all these people. Can you believe me? I have to work with these 200 guys and girls that are calling you. But let me ask you, I'm really sorry to hear about your grandmother, but if I could take this burden away from you and make all the calls stop and actually sell the house for you as someone local on the ground here, and I could actually put more money in your pocket even after you paid a commission for you and any other heirs that are out there, is that something you'd be even open to talking about? They told me their frustration. They're getting all these calls. I don't even live there. I just inherited this house. That's their motivation, right? And I'm presenting a way. My service is the way for them to get away from pain or to pleasure, whatever they're looking for. So,
Okay.
thoughts, questions? What do you think?
Yeah, I've got some questions. So,
Yeah.
I guess first of all, I haven't had a lot of experience with for sale by owners. I don't even know anybody who's done one. So, if someone was doing a for sale by owner, how are they doing it? I mean, they have to still be showing the property and all that. So I would imagine they are getting phone calls for showings and stuff, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
maybe
Some of
talk
them
me
have
through that process a little bit.
yeah, some of them don't even think that far ahead. Some of them have a friend or someone, a neighbor down the way that's able to show it. Some of them think they're just going to sell it from out of state, and they think it's like selling a car or a flat screen TV on Craigslist, so they don't understand the difference, right? They're just like, oh, I have this, I need to sell it. Or I look at houses on Zillow, so I'm just going to put my house on Zillow. So that must be how to do it, right? And they don't even understand all those complexities. So a lot of times, that's what it is. So most of the time, people are doing this. They've either done it before, and they're just doing it again, or they want it. Most of them actually want to save the money, right? I don't need an agent. I did this before, or I'm going to put it on Zillow. Most people are going to just look for houses on Zillow anyway. What do I need to pay you 2 or 3% for to do that? I just did it myself. So what I say in that case is, I totally understand. You did a great job. Your photos look great, and you did a great job. And I guess basically the way I would put it to you is, the people that are looking at for sale by owners, they know that you're not paying a commission, and they're expecting to get that discount for themselves. And you're also only dealing with about 7 to 10% of the homes in the last year have sold for sale by owner. Only about 7 to 10% of those have sold without an agent, while 90 to 93% sell every year with the help of a real estate agent. So what you're doing is you're only really working with about 10% of the buyers, where I can bring you the other 90% of the buyers. Now, I mean, if you were a buyer for a house and you knew that there was no competition, I mean, would you make your best offer? Or would you start with a low ball offer, or maybe not put your best offer out there because you knew there wasn't that much competition? That's what most for sale by owners find, is they're getting low offers, or they're getting people who maybe want to do a seller carryback. They want to make payments to you directly. Now, did you want to take payments for the next 30 years, or did you want all the money when it closes in a month or less? No,
Yeah.
I want all the money. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's what I can bring you, is I can bring you I can bring you we can search for, you can, and if you want, you know what, you can keep selling it for sale by owner while you have it listed with me. And if you find that buyer who's going to pay you the price that you want, that's one of those 10%, and you find them, that's fine. I'll walk away. You can owe me nothing. But meanwhile, I'm going to market this home with a full service MLS listing. You're going to get my professional photographer in here. I'm going to have all the showings, get all the feedback. And I am confident with the 90% of buyers that I bring to you, we can more than make up for the small amount of more commission you will pay. I'd be happy to go over all those numbers with you and discuss that with you. I have some time today at 4, or is today at 2 p.m. better for you if they're local, or I'll set up a Zoom if they're in, want to do some detailed research on the house, go over all the comparables and show and talk to you about that. We can meet on Zoom real quick for 20 to 30 minutes. If you have time for a Zoom later today, or is tomorrow better for you, whatever. And I'll do it on Zoom if they're out of state.
Okay. The other question I had is, you said that you sort them where the new ones come up first. Is that because you're assuming you've already contacted the other people? Or
Yes.
why?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is a mindset thing, but in general, if I'm one of the first people to talk to them, they tend to be friendlier and more open to it. If they've been on the market more than a few days, there's all these data service providers. I don't know if you're familiar with like Vulcan 7 and RedX and all these data service providers that will show up. And once they show up there, they're getting called by tons of agents and even more like ISAs. There's ISAs in the Philippines and India and all over the place. They're getting paid $5 an hour. They're going to be calling those numbers as soon as they end up there.
Okay,
But
because I
if
was
you can
thinking
get
like
them,
the ones longer on the market would be maybe getting frustrated that they haven't sold yet.
that's true as well. So I would call them. I'd call all of them, but I mean, I've already called them. Like I've already called them. So there's some that have been on the market for like 6 months that I talked to 6 months ago, and I kind of like, oh, this guy. I know their story, and I do keep following up with them. And never say never, but I prefer to talk to the new ones first and be one of the first agents to call them because they're way more open to it.
Yeah.
Versus like a couple months ago, I had one that was 1.4 million, a for sale by owner for 1.4 million. They put their house on Zillow at like 11. I met with them at like 3 that afternoon and walked out of there by 4 with a signed listing agreement for 1.4 million for 6%. Right.
Wow.
And while I'm sitting there, the phone is ringing off the freaking hook but I'm already like getting their signature on the contract. And
Wow.
they're like, gosh, Scott, we're so glad we listed with you. I'm not even going to answer these calls anymore. All these realtors are calling. I'm so glad we're done with this and you're just going to handle it. Right. And then that house sold in like 8 days on the market. I made like 40 grand. I'm like, this is freaking fantastic. Right. So that's like one of the best stories I've had recently.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sometimes they do require a lot of follow up. Sometimes people do need to fail for a month or two or however long before they're going to be open to it. But I just like the new ones. It's a mindset thing. The other mindset thing that I have is I need to help these people. These people need my help. They just don't realize it. And if I don't call, they're either going to get another crappy agent, or worse yet, they are going to sell it by themselves and they're going to lose a ton of money. It's probably going to fall out of escrow because they're not getting a qualified buyer. They're going to take some online pre-qual from Rocket Mortgage from 6 months ago or whatever, and they're going to be shocked when their buyer still can't qualify. Um, so that's my mindset is I need to save these people from themselves.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you come up to an animal, right, that's caught in a barbed wire fence on the side of the road and they're like flailing and they don't want help, right, but they need it, right, and you've got the wire cutters to just like cut the barbed wire away and let them go, right. And they like if you could, I don't know, like a deer or something in a barbed wire, like they need to be cut free, but they don't want it. They laugh if you come up, they might bite you or whatever, and you're like, just let me
Yeah.
get you out of this barbed wire. That's kind of
Yeah.
the way I see myself.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, the other question I have is like, I was kind of anticipating that you would come at it in the way like, oh, is there any way I could come preview your home? I represent buyers in the neighborhood, and it's, good for me to see what, preview it for my potential buyers and like get in that way.
Yeah. I used to do that. And to a degree, that's what Mike Ferry used to teach, but I don't like that for a couple of reasons. One, it's kind of BS because I usually 90% of the time I do not have a buyer for that house unless they're going to sell it super cheap and an investor will buy it, or if they'll like, you know, carry it or something, or do a seller carry out. Investors that do stuff like that. But the vast majority of the time, I do not have a buyer. So I don't want to go in there
Under false
BSing them.
pretenses. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I don't like to do it is because most for sale by owners, they have like 10 or 20 or 30 agents that have done that already. And in their mind, they're like, I don't need to list this house. I kind of have this miniature listing. I already have these 30 agents that have previewed it. So I kind of have this like mini team of agents that's out there looking for a buyer, but really they don't, right? It's usually
Yeah,
agents that are just trying to get the listing or trying to get a deal for their investor, right? So yeah,
yeah.
I don't I don't like to do that. And it makes
Well,
them think they don't have to list.
I appreciate that. I mean, that's the integrity of,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
okay.
I want to
And,
lead them to the path to listing with
yeah,
me, but at least listing. And if they list it with another agent, okay. Hopefully it's a good one. And if it's not, then I have a whole list of automatic searches from FSBOs that I've lost out to. And as soon as it cancels or expired, so I get the email and I'm all over. I'm all, hey, remember me for
really?
three
Oh,
months
that's
ago?
funny. Yeah. Oh
You
my
chose the
God.
wrong agent. Here's your chance to get it right.
So do you find that there's a lot of FSBOs out there?
Not as many as there used to be. So a few years ago when I was doing this, we had like 10 a day here in Phoenix. Now the average is maybe one or two per day. So that's why I'm trying to get them first. And every phone call is like precious, right? So one of my coaches taught me to play the hang up game, which means you're not allowed to hang up the phone. They have to hang up on you. So you keep asking questions, getting more information, building rapport until they're like, gotta go by or no, gotta go. Because yeah, like I said, there's only one or two a day that are even listed, especially that are in the areas in the price range. I want it to be at least like 300 to 350,000. I don't want to go more than like 40, 45 minutes away if I don't have to. I'm going an hour today, but that's just because I'm like, okay, I'll do whatever, for a listing, I'll do whatever. If a buyer an
Yeah.
hour away, no, probably not. But I'm gonna keep asking them questions, keep building rapport. What can I do? Oh, you're going, yeah. Oh, your granddaughter. Oh, tell me, how old is she? And is this your first one? I'm asking questions and building rapport with them, and I'm writing all this down. And then if it's a decent conversation, I'm following it up with a selfie video. Hey, this is Scott. I just called you earlier today about your house on Maple Street. Hey, I just want to say it's a pleasure speaking with you. I'm confident I could get this home sold for you so you could be close to your granddaughter. When you're ready, I know you said you're not ready yet, but when you are, I'm going to make this as easy as possible and make you as much money as possible on the sale of this house. So when you're ready to think about an agent, think of me. I'll take care of you. Thanks. Bye.
I like
And
that.
so that's
Yeah.
their where, why, and when is so important because you're using that to set the appointment. Once you're at the appointment, you're using it to get the listing, right? Let me help you get close to your grandkids. And then once it's listed, if you need a price reduction, hey, I know, we tried 750. We need to go down to 725. I know, I really want to get you to your grandkids. I know, whatever you want to be there by, the time school was out or whatever. In order to do that, we just need to make this adjustment. And then when it's time to negotiate the contract, right? And they don't want to come down. Look, I know, but we got to get you your grandkids, or the inspection comes and they got to pay $10,000 for a roof or an AC or what. It's always goes back to I want to get you to your grandkids,
Yeah.
or whatever
Are
their
sale by
motivation
owners, do
was.
they go through the same process like inspections and
So
appraisals? And
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
appraisals, I guess you'd have to because of the
a
lender,
lot of
but
times.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you do the same kind of process with expireds or?
Basically, yes. Yeah. Um, Expireds are a little bit harder, I would say, because those data service providers that I was telling you about with expireds, um, most dialers will not let you start calling. It depends on what state you're in, but they give you all the phone numbers and it's got a computerized dialer hooked up to it. It will not let you start calling until 8 a.m. local time. So at like 7:59, there's all these realtors and ISAs in the Philippines and all over getting ready to start dialing, right? And so you're in this massive competition with others, right? So a lot of times with first day expireds, they are if by 10:30 in the morning, they're no longer picking up the phone, a lot of them, because they know it's a realtor calling. Um, or if they are, they're like, "Dude, you're the other person to call. A lot, and sometimes the number's not even there. I don't know how my phone number got associated with this house on Oak Street. I've never lived there. You know, take my how you know how'd you get your number? Take it off your list. I'm gonna call. You know, I don't know
Yeah,
how do you get
like
this number type thing.
it's like that's the stuff that causes me anxiety. I don't want
Mhm.
that um
I can, but that's why
that
I talked
energy to
about
deal
your
with that energy.
yeah. My mindset is these people need my help, and I'm the best agent to help them. And so I will go through some of that because, like I said, it's like the deer caught in the barbed wire, right? They're like, "Don't come help me! I'm stuck." Like whatever, right? And some people will it'll be the wrong number. I'll be like, "I'm so sorry. I will remove your number from our office list. I will not call you again. I'm sorry this happened to you," and move on, right? But if it is the right number and they're mad, sometimes they're mad because they really did need to sell the house and they're pissed at their other agent, and you could be the path to them getting it. So you sound so frustrated. I totally get that, and I would be. I mean, I would be mad too. Like you had your home on the market for 5 months, it didn't sell, and now you got 100 agents calling you today. Where were they? Why didn't they sell it before? I totally get that. Now, let me ask you: when you put it on the market, where were you trying to go next? We were trying to be in Florida by now. We were trying to be in Florida by Christmas, and that didn't work. I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. What was bringing you to Florida by? Well, that was when whatever. Like my granddaughter was there, and da, 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 or whatever it was. I'd be like, oh, and then it's still the same thing. Like presenting my service as a way to get them what they want, and it's
Yeah,
still the same thing. Like every call is valuable, and you don't hang up on them. You let them hang up on you, right? So if someone's like dropping f bombs or whatever, you can hang up or whatever if they're just like laying into you. But most of the time they'll move on and they'll tell you. And I got my notepad here and I'm just like taking down notes, right? Like Florida, wanted to be there for Christmas, whatever, whatever. And then it's a selfie video. If it's a cell phone, most of the time you're talking to somebody on a cell phone, but if I could keep a selfie video to like 30 to 45 seconds or less, I can just send it itself. They don't have to like go to an outer link or put it to a YouTube link or whatever. And then they have my number in their phone and I'll be texting them to follow up later and they'll be like, who is this? Oh, this is that guy, the guy that called me like a month ago. Here's his video. Oh yeah, I remember this guy. That was kind of cool how he sent
yeah,
that video. He actually listened to me. Da, 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 da. He knew that I was going there for my granddaughter. Da, 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 da. Everybody else is just like, list with me. I've got 1,000 agents and I've got this big team and we sell a gazillion houses and this guy just wants to help me get to my granddaughter. I like that guy. That's
yeah,
why I use the selfie videos a lot. They're free and it's one take and just send it, right?
yeah. Okay. Well, good stuff. Makes me nervous, but it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
it will. And you'll get, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah,
And just like I told you, that one that worked for me for me, it was more money motivated when I was new. I was like, oh my God, I made 30 grand doing this. I'm going to do it all the time. $1 million
yeah.
house, 3% just from picking up the phone. Yeah, I'll do it all the time. Right. So anyway,
I'm really curious to get on there and just see what's out there. I'm
yeah,
gonna do that. I'll do that next.
do it. And let's follow up in a week or two and we can role play whatever you had go wrong or, get you
Okay.
through whatever. But yeah, you will have some road bumps. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, but it is going to be worth it. And you're going to help you. You're helping people. You're helping that deer that's in the barbed wire fence that's all caught. And you're just
Yeah.
going to come there with your wire cutters. And they're
Yeah.
not going to like it. But then afterwards, they're going to be like, oh, Lisa,
Right.
you helped me. So
Oh
anyway,
God. Well, that sounds good. Thank you.
cool.
Thanks for your
All right,
time.
cool.
I
Yeah, I'll talk
appreciate
to you
it.
soon.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Could you send me the video?
I will. Yeah,
Okay. Thanks.
bye.
Bye.